his caveats, what you learned. Is he more forthcoming than what Acting Director Morrell was yesterday about these talking points that were put out?
Basically, it's still not clear how the final talking points emerged. They said it went through a long process involving many agencies, including the Department of Justice, including the State Department, and no one knows yet exactly who came up with the final version of the talking points, other than to say the original talking points prepared by the CIA were different from the ones that were finally put out. As far as General Petraeus, his testimony today was that from the start he had told us that this was a terrorist attack, or there were terrorists involved from the start. I told him in my questions I had a very different recollection of that. The clear impression we were given was that the overwhelming amount of evidence was that it was arose out of a spontaneous demonstration and was not a terrorist attack. And I pointed out the following week when Matt Olson said it was a terrorist attack and made headlines, because until then the administration had been saying it was not terrorist. Again, it was very cordial, if you will. General Petraeus is an outstanding patriot. We shook hands before and afterwards. We all thanked him for his service. But he was, I think, has a different impression of the impression that he left on September 14th.
Mr. Chairman, can you tell us whether or not his affair or the security issues surrounding his affair came up at all?
Only in answer to one question where he was asked at the start, did that have any impact on his testimony? He said no.
How were the talking points different?
The original talking points were much more specific about al-Qaeda involvement. And yet the final ones just said indications of extremists. It said indicate, even though it was clearly evident to the CIA that there was al-Qaeda involvement.
Did you get any idea why they were changed?
They just said it goes through a long process, an interagency process, and when they come back, that have been taken out.
Did he seem concerned that things have been changed? Was that surprising to him?
He seemed to say at the time they didn't realize the full significance of that, and that for an unclassified statement this was acceptable. Again, that's still very vague.
Was Petraeus under oath?
No, there was no oath given, no.
Mr. King, did he allay any of your concerns? Are you satisfied with the presentation he made today?
I'm satisfied with the ultimate conclusion he reached. I told him that I honestly disagreed with his recollection of what he told us on September 14th.
What did he say about the affair with Paula Broadwell?
No, there was no comment on that at all.
Did that make it hard? Did that make it hard, though, to get past that, because those salacious details have dominated the news here? Did that make it hard to get down to brass tacks in this meeting?
No, that was made clear at the start. That would not be a focus of the questioning, and I would say 10 seconds into it, that was off to the side.
Do you see any reason why you all wanted to hear from him is because since he briefed you the first and only time, he went to Libya. So he obviously was giving you a bit of a trip report.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can tell us that he clearly learned from actually being on the ground?
No, that would all be classified, other than the fact that they now clearly believe did not arise out of a demonstration, it was not spontaneous, and there was clear terrorist involvement.
He said that straight up?
Yes.
Chairman, who do you still want to hear from on this next, right away?
Oh, this is ongoing. I mean, this is, it still could be, obviously, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Defense, and also people at the White House, to see if anyone at the White House changed the talking points.
Do you think you need to hear from him again on this, and then also on the
well, we'll have to see, one day at a time.
Are you saying he still couldn't provide any explanation, though, as to why it took them so long to come to that conclusion?
He was saying
today there was no explanation.
No, he was saying there were many streams of intelligence, but he also stated that he thought all along, he made it clear, that there was significant terrorist involvement. And that is not my recollection of what he told us on September 14th.
So how did he seem? Did he seem tired or worn down from the scandals that have been plaguing him and needing to resolve?
No, he was a strong soldier. No, absolutely. He was very professional, very knowledgeable, very strong. And again, spoke to him at the beginning of the hearing and the end of the hearing, and he was a solid guy. I consider him a friend, which made the questioning tough, to be honest with you.
How long did the testimony last?
What's that?
You said you consider him a friend and made the questioning tough.
Well, I mean, we asked the questions. It wasn't something. Sometimes you're in a hearing, the adrenaline is pumping, and you're going back and forth. Now you realize the human tragedy here, and you realize that he's going through an awful lot, On the other hand, we had an obligation to find out what we could. So that's all. It was just.
Did he give any indication?
It's a lot easier when you dislike the guy when you ask him questions. Like when you guys ask us questions, and then you can.
Did he give any indication how he felt after Ambassador Rice's testimony after watching that?
He didn't watch the testimony.
Did he speak with her beforehand?
No.
But he was saying that the points that the CIA gave the White House included Al-Qaeda involvement, and afterwards that was taken out?
But the CIA, there was a CIA analyst with him who said that the talking points that were drafted were specific about Al-Qaeda affiliations or Al-Qaeda terrorist activities. They didn't have it in front of them, and they said that was, after it went through the process, whatever that process is, which they seemed unclear about, that was taken out.
Chairman, how long did the testimony last?
He spoke for about, he gave an opening statement for about 20 minutes, and so an hour and 10 minutes of questions.
Was he asked about the statement that Paula Broadwell made at a speech
No.
About the CIA?
No.
So are you saying the DNI took it out or the administration took it out?
No, not the DNI. Well, again, it was not, I guess it's how you define the administration, because it also went to the Department of Justice, State Department, and I believe the National Security Council.
Did he talk about the films, the videos, and what his and what did he say about?
Well, I can't get into that. There was nothing controversial.
But did you guys watch any films today, like what they did?
No, yesterday. We saw them yesterday.
Yesterday, Senate Intelligence.
We saw them yesterday.
You saw them yesterday.
Did he say why it was taken out of the talking points, that it was Al-Qaeda related?
They didn't know.
He didn't know?
They were not involved. It was done, the process was completed, and they said, okay, go with those talking points. Again, it's interagency. Again, I get the impression it involved 7, 8, 9 different agencies.
Did he give the impression he was upset that it was taken out?
No.
But you said the CIA said okay to the revised reports? They had no problem?
They said, okay, in that, after it goes through the process, they okayed it to go. They didn't see, they said okay for it to go.
Who did he say? Who did he say?
I don't know.
Who did he say he thinks committed the attack then?
I would just leave it at Al-Qaeda affiliates.
Was it all awkward to have him in the room a week after he resigned under the circumstances?
Yeah, there's a certain amount of awkwardness. Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously, because all of us in the room, certainly myself and all of us, have a great regard for him. We've known him. I've known him for 9 years now. So it's. I actually urged him to run for president a few years ago. So I've been to dinner with him. I consider him. I know him fairly well.
Was there any discussion?
And so anyway, yeah, it was tough. But anytime you see a human tragedy for a good person, it's tough to go through. Sure.
Was there any discussion of the national security implications of his resignation?
No. The resignation, he just addressed it in the beginning. He regretted what happened, and that was basically it.
So was there any talk of the night of the attack, about whether he was involved?
It was pretty packed. As far as I know, they were all there.
Was he involved in the actual decision-making the night of the attack?
I don't want to get into that, but he was definitely fully aware of all that was going on, yeah.
Did he ask for military backup?
I'm not going to get into any of that. I can't get into any of that.
Did he stick to the story that the first attack was spontaneous, but the second seemed to be more organized with the mortar attacks,
No,
and the second attack may have...
I can tell you the spontaneous aspect is definitely minimized right now. Well, it just is. I mean, it was primarily a terrorist attack.
How about let me be careful about this. Did he address how he interpreted the anti-Muslim film and how that sort of got to be a part of this discussion, even though he downplayed that?
It was based on reports they were getting at the time.
So that was part of what was going into this intelligence product that they were creating. And then they got other information later which said this wasn't.
Well, yes, but also they also at the time, prior to September 14th, had clear information that this was strong involvement with Al-Qaeda affiliates. And that was not made part of their presentation at the time.
This is that the former director was going to explain that he saw kind of two streams of intelligence, one suggesting maybe Ansar al-Sharia was involved, and the other, which at the time was more robust, that it was the protest resulting from the anti-Muslim video. Is that the way he described it to you?
He did, but he said today that he, at the time, was also emphasizing the involvement of Ansar al-Sharia, and my recollection was that he was actually minimizing the role of Ansar al-Sharia. That's it, okay?
So is the hearing over?
Yeah.
This has been a Sunfish production.